What's up, everybody? This is More Hoops. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Now let's get right to it. As everyone knows, unless you live under a rock, the whole world is being ravaged by an awful disease called the coronavirus. This caused many businesses to shut down, including the NBA. It started back in March when Gobert tested positive, causing the league to shut down indefinitely. Well, now it's being reported because of the situation, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert's relationship is unsalvageable. To give some background information, the league told players to limit contact, and Gobert thought the whole situation was a joke. We all have that ignorant friend that isn't taking the pandemic seriously and is still going to parties, get togethers, crowded beaches, and potentially spreading the illness and risking lives. Well, Gobert is one of those idiots, and because of that, he got Donovan Mitchell along with other Jazz players sick. Now, this entire situation is so serious that it caused a falling out between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. In fact, their relationship is reportedly unsalvageable. I'm just speculating here, but I believe that Donovan Mitchell got sick from Gobert and spread it to someone that's important to him and likely killed him. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Bleacher Report recently reported that a potential Knicks trade for Donovan Mitchell starts at RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and multiple first-round picks, which I'm sure includes their pick this year, which could easily become the #1 overall pick. So that brings us back to the question of the video. Should the Knicks trade for Donovan Mitchell? Ironically, the Knicks could have drafted Donovan Mitchell back in 2017, but instead they went with Frank Ntilikina. But maybe that's a topic for another day. Well, for starters, let's be clear. Donovan Mitchell is a legit all-star in this league, and he's only 23. I still remember that playoff series 3 years ago, Thunder versus Jazz. The Thunder put Paul George, an elite 6'9" defender, on Donovan Mitchell, and Donovan totally cooked him. Donovan Mitchell is a big-time player in this league, and there's just no doubt about it. The only way a Knicks trade for him happens is if Donovan demands a trade and says he's only coming to the Knicks. Now, Donovan Mitchell is a free agent in 2021. Now, I am aware that he's a restricted free agent, but he can easily just say, if you don't trade me, I'll just sign the 1-year qualifying offer and dip. Now, would Donovan do this? Well, Donovan is a New York native. He is from Westchester County. His father works in the front office of the Mets, so there clearly are some ties to New York, and there is a slight chance he'd demand a trade, especially after the falling out he had with Gobert. So, if Donovan demands a trade to the Knicks, should the Knicks pull the trigger? While Bleacher Report stated that the Knicks have to give up both RJ and Mitch, along with multiple first-round picks, it also said, since Robinson may not be a great fit alongside All-Star center Rudy Gobert, the executive suggested that Barrett and 2 unprotected first-round picks would get New York in the conversation with the Jazz. So this is very interesting. The idea of getting Donovan Mitchell without having to give up Robinson is very tempting. With Donovan Mitchell and Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks would have an incredible young duo along with cap space to build around them. While RJ did have a solid rookie season, he's still 2 to 3 years away from an all-star level. A move like this speeds up the Knicks' rebuild. The drawback to this trade is that the Knicks would have to give up valuable assets that could help them build the team. In a hypothetical trade, the Knicks are going to have to give up RJ Barrett, along with another solid young player like Frank Ntilikina, and probably 4 future first-round picks, including this year's pick, which could easily turn into LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards. So should the Knicks do this hypothetical trade? I know it's very tempting to acquire one of the top 15 players in the league and instantly become relevant again, but history says this is a mistake. The Knicks need to focus on developing their young core and adding a superstar free agent when they've organically become a relevant team again. This reminds me a lot of the Carmelo trade from about 10 years ago. Now, Carmelo was a great player in his prime. In fact, He was easily a top 10 player at the time of the trade. But the Knicks gave up so many assets that it made it difficult to build around Melo. In that trade, the Knicks gave up half their roster along with a multitude of draft picks. The Knicks with Melo peaked at the second round. Had they shown just a little bit of patience and signed Melo in free agency instead of trading for him, they would have had a team that would have been a true contender in the East. If the Knicks do this trade for Donovan, they're giving up almost all their draft capital. That means they'll only have free agency to build around Donovan and Mitch. That team will probably make the playoffs, but will cap out in the second round due to an inability to improve because of their lack of trade assets. So, what do the Knicks need to do? While trading for Donovan Mitchell is enticing, they need to say no and not pull the trigger. Focus on player development for now. Develop RJ, develop Mitch. Try to draft and develop some more good young players. The Knicks have 3 draft picks in this upcoming draft. They can add some serious young talent like LaMelo Ball. If a star like Donovan was to come to the Knicks a few years down the line, they could just sign him in free agency and add him to the core instead of gutting the roster to acquire him. What the Knicks need to do now is show some patience and continue to develop their core. This situation reminds me a lot of the Brooklyn Nets. Yes, the Brooklyn Nets managed to sign both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but they only did that because they did a slow and patient rebuild in which they focused on developing their young players. After they became an organically respected organization, then Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted to sign. If the Knicks truly want to build a contender one day, they need to focus on developing their young core. Then, acquiring a superstar like Donovan Mitchell in free agency will become easy. Thanks for watching.